to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network.
CP3. Many can copy us, but none can duplicate us. By CP3.
What's going on, people? CP3 live in the lab, coming to you for post-game live Victory Friday. Washington, almost slipped up early. You know, I've been drinking already, so you know how it's going to be this post-game. I already said it's going to be lit, but the Washington football team blows out the Dallas Cowboys 41-16 in dominating fashion. And it's kind of ironic because if you tuned in to the pregame show, my keys of victory they hit kind of all five of the keys of victory and looked like we ended up getting a victory. Let me pull my notes out from the pregame. I had listed early start by the offense getting points. They went down 3 but came back with a touchdown and took the lead. Balance on offense. You saw the numbers with Antonio Gibson, 20 carries. Peyton Barber, I believe, had 11. Alex Smith didn't throw the ball as much as he had previously, only 26 times. So you had balance on offense. Defense stepped up, stopped the run, which they did. Getting a little feedback. Wide receivers continue to make plays. McLaurin made most of the plays. But as I said, Alex Smith didn't really throw the ball that much, 26 times in the game. He didn't really stretch the field. He was hitting the running backs out the backfield, but it got the job done. That's all that matters. And played 60 minutes. And I can honestly say for the second time this season, for some reason, they've played 60 minutes against the Cowboys and come out on top with a 41-16 victory. I know we got Robbie G sitting in the wings. You ready to come on, Robbie? I could bring you in real quick, or you still want to sit back in the cut for a little bit? A little bit longer? All right, that's cool. That's cool. I actually took stats of halftime to see where this game stood because it was tight. I still felt that the Washington football team was going to win because of the injury aspect. We saw both of the tackles for the Cowboys go down in the first quarter in the first series, and I posted a tweet that said, you know, the defense is definitely physical and relentless, and we've seen week after week this defense, not saying that hurting other players is a good thing, but just their physical nature, they're out physicaling other teams. And how many times in the past have we seen our team get out physical by another team? And it's just good to see that, as I said, progress. And we're seeing that, and we're definitely going to talk about that in this post game because it's funny. Some Washington football team fans, some of the stuff that they say during the game. But you know, I tweet out during the game and I read what other folks say, and it's hilarious. I'm going to address that in a little while, but I'm not going to go there yet. But as I said, I took the halftime stats. No, this is actually the end of the game stats. Here's the halftime stats. Washington was up 17-13. Alex Smith was 12 for 15, 70 yards with a touchdown, and 108 quarterback rating. Andy Dalton was 15 for 18 with 151 yards and a touchdown. He had 120 quarterback rating. Halftime, Gibson had 11 carries for 43 yards and a touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott had 5 rushes for 15 yards. Logan Thomas had 4 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had 2 catches for 36. And Amari Cooper had 5 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. He had that one long one on Ron Darby And before everybody starts throwing him under the bus, I put it out there earlier. When they signed him, a lot of the Eagles fans were saying, "Oh, well, he's gonna get burnt all season." He's been one of the top-rated corners in the league. He's played rack of snaps, haven't been completed on a lot. So you're not going to be perfect in this league. You're going to give up plays. Unfortunately, he turned his head at the wrong time, lost the ball in the air, and Cooper made a play on the ball. It is what it is. But it was the reaction after that play was made. He still, played solid. They caught a couple of passes on him, but when they were going at him, for the most part, they didn't have that much success. They had limited success, so you can try it if you want to. Team stats, they had 13 first downs at halftime. They were 3 for 5 for third down conversions. They had 69 yards rushing, 82 yards passing for a total of 151 yards. They had 2 penalties for 33 yards, had the ball for 18 minutes and 50 seconds, and only had 1 sack, and that was by Chase Young in the first half. And we saw how the defense stepped up big time in the second half of the game. When they were up, they got out there on the third quarter, got a turnover on the first drive. Ezekiel Elliott with another fumble. I saw a stat that said he had 5 fumbles this season, and he had 5 fumbles in his first 4 seasons. So something going on with him and fumble the ball. We all remember. Well, we maybe not remember, but Tiki Barber had a similar situation with the Giants. All of a sudden, he just started fumbling the ball. He had been in the league for about 4 or 5 years, had some success, and all of a sudden, he couldn't hold on to the ball. So I don't know if it's, just something that's in passing, but he's definitely been putting the ball on the ground, and it definitely benefited the Washington football team because they actually got points off of turnovers this game. And we've seen a couple of previous games that, unfortunately, Washington had lost the turnover battle. This game, they won it. And, you got a blowout win. And then, I got to shout out Montez Sweat. Interception, pick 6, end of the game. They could have just laid back and just, let the clock run out because the game was out of reach. But he was still playing hard. Del Rio still calling blitzes, because you don't want to take your foot off the pedal. We've seen other teams do it to our team for the longest. So sometimes you got to give just like you get. And it's just good to see this team build off of the victory on Sunday, then turn around on a short week with a quarterback that's just getting his second start, third time playing this season, and he wins back-to-back games, after being off the field for almost 2 years. You see the progression of the offense looks better. I mentioned in the pregame, the numbers were better. They're not stellar. They're not nothing you can hang your hat on, but you can definitely see the improvement in the numbers from being 30 and 31 to now they're 24 and 22, which, like I say, is progress. That's what you want to see, and that's what we're seeing right before our eyes. And you got to give a shout out to Coach Rivera because he's doing his thing. Give me feedback. Come on. Put the levels down. All right. You got to give Coach some props for what he's doing. You see the maturation of this team. The Terry McLaurin play on that interception that Alex threw, ill-advised throw. He should have ate the sack, but he tried to get it to the running back, came up short as he got hit. But you saw Terry McLaurin, who could have gave up on the play, like Troy said, but he chased him down, i.e. DK Metcalf against Arizona Cardinals a few weeks back, and it saved points then and it saved points this time. And it's hustle like that, and it's want and will that shows that he wants to win. He wants to be a part of this team. He wants to do whatever he can do to help this team win. And that was a crucial tackle right there, and along with the goal line stand that the defense put up there. And I got to shout out safety Jeremy Reeves. He was only in on limited snaps, but he was in there. He made impact on that play to CD Lamb that could have been a touchdown. He was in there to, lay a hit after the ball got there and make sure he couldn't make another spectacular grab like he did the week before. And then he actually got a sack in the game also in that fourth quarter. So A lot of folks say this team suck or the secondary sucks or all this and that. Now you're getting a glimpse of what this team is. Even though the record is 3-8, you're seeing progress and you're seeing this team getting better week after week, and that's what it's all about. And I'm gonna go ahead and bring in Robbie G right now with the slick background. I like that. This,
I made it on the spot. That's why I was like, give me a second. I'm photoshopping. So,
hey, man, do what you got to do, man.
I like the burgundy and the gold. And, I got our logo and the new team logo in there. And letting people know our website where they catch all the latest podcasts and merchandise and stuff. I'm not dressed in merchandise. I was dressed for Thanksgiving dinner, going and visiting with family. And I was lucky that my parents were nearby, so they let me come over and watch the first half of the game there and listen to a bit of the second half on the drive home, and then got to catch the end of it. And I got lucky.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, and it was just, it was kind of funny. Like, it was, oh yeah, for some reason my connection is unstable. Sorry about that. But anyway, so what I was saying was Dallas just made a lot of mistakes. I think they should have punted it when they were only down 4, because they seemed to be holding us pretty well when we were on our side of the field. And every time they gave us the ball on their side of the field, we made them pay for it. And I think that's really the difference, at least in my mind, in this game. Our defense was playing pretty well up front. They bent and didn't break. They started off a little slow. The whole team did, as they've done, but they didn't let them score a touchdown on that first drive, and they didn't they didn't let them score a full touchdown or anything like that. It's just the field goal, and they were able to come right back and put together a really good first half. But yeah, it was just it was a fun game to watch. I mean, I'm sure that you've covered some of the stats and some of the things, but some of the things that stood out to me early on was, first of all, Antonio Gibson just had himself a game, 100-plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and they're saying that's the first since either Barry Sanders or Randy Moss. So, but that's good company. It doesn't matter which one it is. But I think one did it with 3 touchdowns and 100 yards. The other did just 3 touchdowns. But either way, Randy Moss and Barry Sanders are the people you want to be keeping company with. And Antonio Gibson, is the man. And he's looking really good. He's scored touchdown, I think, in 5 straight games, maybe.
5 straight games. That man has 10 touchdowns as a rookie.
That's amazing. And people were saying, how do you get rid of Adrian Peterson? Well, I mean, if you can look down the line and you know that this guy needs some touches, Adrian Peterson's a great player. There's no denying that. But he needs his touches. And if we're trying to build this guy up to be the next AP, and I don't know if he will be, who knows, but you got to look to the future a little bit. And I don't think it's a bad move. I mean, the first couple of games he didn't play spectacular, but he's heated up lately, and I'm excited to see where we go from there. And another stat, so these are all thanks to Ken, DC's People's Champ, and Brian Brennan. Ken also mentioned that Alex Smith is 10-0 when he throws for under 200 yards and has a completion percentage of 65%. So keeping it down, but high percentage rating is a recipe for success.
Yeah, that's what he does as a game manager. And the folks on my Facebook feed, I'm about to get to y'all questions and comments. Don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm just sharing to some of the groups that I got that Robbie, I know he's not in. So don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm going to definitely get to your comments because this is definitely going to be a great post game because we got a Victory Monday and a Victory Friday in the same week. When have we been able to say that as a Washington football fan or as a, Lord, let me say it on the air one more time, as a Redskin fan? When the last time have we been able to say that they've got 2 victories in 1 week, let alone 1 victory in 1 week?
Right, 2-8 all time in Thanksgiving games against them boys, and but the 2 ones are big ones. Got to give RG3 some props, for getting that one back in 2012. I know Arun's probably listening and happy somewhere. By the way, breaking news: RG3 is starting against the Steelers. I don't know if we mentioned that yet, but that's going to be some great. And I believe he's beaten the Steelers before. I don't think he will. Half the team is banged up at this rate, but some interesting. That's a 1:15 game now, so it's a little different than what we had talked about when we had the show. Because when we had the show, we thought they were still going to play on Thursday, and that's not happening. But man, I was looking at the total points that were scored, and Washington put the whooping on them. I mean, it's kind of amazing. A combined score of 66 points for Washington and 19 points for Dallas over the two games. So they outscored them by triple. So none of the games were close. I mean, I was kind of testing the waters, and I told Hurt, I said, we got to both bet against Washington because that's what we did on Sunday, and it worked. And I'm going to concede to you this season, Carol, but I will continue to try to jinx the Cowboys, and it worked today. And what an incredible victory! And I loved one play. I don't know if you've talked about it yet. The tight end option pass to McLaurin. Awesome. I went crazy for it because, like, I don't know if I've ever seen that, but he's got a cannon for an arm. Yeah, I loved his touchdown celebration later where he just threw it. That was fantastic.
Yeah, he's an ex-quarterback. They mention it all the time that he converted a tight end when he was drafted by Detroit, I believe. And he's been in the process of converting. We had the same thing when Niles Paul was converting from wide receiver to tight end. And we're seeing the same thing with Antonio Gibson converting from wide receiver to running back. I spoke about that in the pregame. And before I go any further, me and Dujane were speaking offline before. I'm going to have to get on my soapbox for a little while, Robbie, because we've been hearing a lot of fans and other media folks questioning Sweat, questioning Antonio.
I'm going to get my drink while you're on your soapbox.
Yeah, you go ahead and get it. I'm about to pour me another one I'm talking to probably. But it's amazing how when you have patience, let a team develop and understand that this is a different season with no preseason, no training camp. You got rookies coming in that didn't get the proper indoctrination into the league. They normally have meetings they go to before training camps even start. Then they're out there, OTAs or with having a new coach. You get to start earlier with your training, so it gives you more time to change the playbook and give everybody a chance to get up to speed on the new changes. No preseason games. And now you're seeing what happens when you have a real coach at the helm. Yes, the record is 3-8, but we're seeing progress and improvement. This is the third quarterback for this season. And I don't say Alex Smith is the answer, but if he's a stopgap until they figure out the answer, I'm good with that. Because you got Gibson, who folks early in the season was questioning why you cut AP, fans crying, oh, we suck, we make stupid decisions. Then when we played Detroit last week, oh, AP's going to run all over us. And I showed his stats from this season because he was on my fantasy football team. And he had one good game, and that's it. So all of this negative gloom and doom, as soon as one thing go wrong, you think the world's going to come crashing down. And I hope you're watching. I'm not going to call you out this week, but I hope you're watching. Because when that Alex Smith interception happened, I knew my folks was going to go gloomy. But they swore after that interception, oh, the game was going to be lost. This is going to swing the momentum. This team sucks. Alex Smith shouldn't be doing that. And then her groupies are just sucking it up and just feeding it. So I'm like, throw some balls. I know you're trying to get some, but come on, dog. You can't agree with everything that she says just because she says it. And that's a lot of these fans. They just agree with it because they heard it on the radio on 106 and 7 or 980 by somebody that ain't even probably played the game a day in their life before, but you swear by it. I'm going to just say, as we said at the beginning of the season and throughout the season, Ron Rivera is going to have this team where it needs to be. If you don't like what's going on, you got two options. Shut up and stay, or keep talking and go. All that posting and whining and coming on my post and being all negative, I told you I ain't got time for it. Call into the show. Zoom in. I'll put you on blast on the show, make you famous. And I ain't going to waste my time punching keys on Facebook. But I'm not going to get too deep in there. I just had to get that off my chest because it's a lot of negative press out here that's putting stuff out here that doesn't even need to be out here.
Right.
And
It's
some
a
of these,
learning process for so many people. It's a crazy 2020 year. The fact that anybody thinks that the solutions are going to happen, overnight, and the fact is, we're on top of the division right now on Thanksgiving. I know that it's a pitiful record. I get that, but it doesn't matter. We beat the teams that we needed to be at the top right now as of today.
and they still mad though. That's the thing that's crazy about it.
It's just you can't expect too much too soon. I mean, in my mind, we're above where we're supposed to be, and I had guessed 6 wins. We're very much on pace for exactly where I thought we would be. I don't know. I mean, it's not as doom and gloom as what Arun originally said. It's not as high as what you and her had hoped for, right? So it's somewhere in between.
Well, I'm going to take into account that the COVID played a bigger role than I guess estimated by going with those 9 wins. But you got it at 6. I'm gonna go with the optimistic. Imagine if they did have training camp, did have preseason. They could have squeezed out. They maybe could have squeezed out 3 more wins.
Oh,
or I could have been 1 off.
Right. No, I think we missed a couple early on when we had a weak schedule that I think we could have hit on. We got ourselves in too big of a hole too early. And like today, it's like we can get ourselves in a 3-point hole. We can come back from that. If you get yourself in a 17 hole,
17, that's
hole,
a whole different ball game.
Yeah, it's a little different. So I mean, they've learned from that a little bit, and that's what you expect with a young team. And there's some veterans sprinkled in, but players are playing in totally different positions. I mean, the player that was our right tackle is now our left tackle.
He's playing pretty damn well.
I think he played great, and that's a tough switch. Not many right tackles could switch to left tackle. People don't understand those are not interchangeable parts. Left tackle is one of that's why they call it blind side. It's one of the most pivotal and most difficult positions to play on the offensive line, and he's done phenomenal. And I think a big reason why we won these last 2 games, to be honest. I think his play has been stellar from that position. And they should be commended. And the offensive line coaches should be commended. And speaking of coaches, I felt bad for Dallas. I thought they were going to win today because of what happened with their coach. Before the game, I saw that there was like, oh, man, they're going to be fired up. And be able to weather that emotional storm.
Yeah, some situations that can help fuel the team if the team is on a good run. Dallas has been going through so many injuries and ups and downs, and they won the game against Minnesota. But I think before that they had lost 2 in a row. So they're still trying to figure themselves out, especially with Dalton just coming back. Them, as they talked about on the broadcast, they released 2 of their defensive players that they felt weren't performing up to what they should be. And Ezekiel Elliott is not, I don't know what it is after he got that contract extension. They always say once you pay him, they start playing at a lesser level. They don't seem as hungry. And with 5 fumbles this season,
I've never been for paying running backs. I just think that they break down. I know AP is like an exception. We had him here, but running backs over time, I don't think they're worth the huge contracts. I think you can get rookies and young guys that are serviceable. Maybe they're not quite at that level, but I mean, you're really hamstringing your cap space. I'm kind of happy that we didn't do that. I mean, we already have enough cap in Alex Smith. They couldn't really afford to give more, but it's amazing. One play I wanted to talk about, I'm drawing a blank on who did it. Such an athletic play on the defensive side that he basically bats the ball up and catches it and runs it in for a touchdown. That was just
Sweat. Yeah. Ryan Kerrigan-esque. Yeah, I spoke on him a little bit earlier. Folks were swearing he was a bust, even though he's having a good season at linebacker. He's leading the team in sacks. But he definitely.
If he can do that, I want him on the team. That's an incredible athletic play.
His wingspan is ridiculous. I mean, he's going to be able to do that more because before they used him as a linebacker, so he was dropping back in coverage too much. This year, he's lined up more as a defensive end, and you're seeing him reaping benefits of that. He has, I believe, 6 or 7 sacks now. So, I mean, that's been our issue on defense for the longest, using our pass rushers in the 3-4 instead of rushing the passer. They're dropping back in coverage because they didn't have confidence on the inside linebackers to cover the tight ends and running backs. And then it's like I said, we're not going to talk about that right now. It's a whole different regime. We got some good stuff going on. Let me get to some of these comments on the Facebook Live because we got a lot of folks chiming in. What's up, sis? Yeah, it was a good game. What's up, Laura? Hail to the Washington football team. What's up, Fred? He said if McClure didn't make that tackle, it might have been a different game. Exactly. Yeah, we definitely talked about that. Game ball go to Sweat, Gibson, and McLaurin. Can't argue with none of that. What's up, Sith Lord? He in the basement, said he been drinking. Said all he got to say, well done by the Washington football team. Hopefully they can learn from this W. I'm ad-libbing because he dropping some F-bombs and he been drinking too. From the W.
As you should be. That's why I'm not drinking anything too hard. It's just truly. But, I'll still cheers to that. I mean, what a great Thanksgiving. I mean, I needed this. Like, I'm just so sad that this is the one year I don't get to go to Texas for Christmas.
Mhm.
Oh my God, seeing those fans, I would have been ruthless. Trump goes down and we get 2 victories. Oh, it would have been on.
We need to have some type of good things after this crazy 2020, man. At least it's something good we can be happy about. Washington swept the Cowboys in 2020 with all of this craziness. And remember, it all started with a chicken sandwich war, y'all. If it wasn't for that chicken sandwich, we wouldn't be going through this stuff right now.
Well, and we have a chance. If we win the last game of the season, we could sweep both the Eagles and the Cowboys. I can't tell you the last time I remember that happening. So, that would be something.
But the crazy thing is that they got swept by the Giants. And it always happens. I can't remember the last time this team went undefeated in the division. And I think they did it one time recently, but I can't remember the year. I'm going to have to look into it because it's like they can never sweep. And it's always the damn Giants. That's why I hate the Giants more than the Eagles and the Cowboys. Because no matter how bad the Giants are, they always find a way to beat us.
I don't agree only because they were able to beat the Patriots twice. And I just really dislike – I know you like the hoodie, so it's a little bit different, but I really hate them. So – for me, those catches and being in New York when they did it, I mean, that place went bananas. And I had a friend who just took the house and he was card counting and no one was paying attention to him that night. And I got a free lobster dinner. So forever, the Giants are better than the other two for just that night for me. But I understand.
I understand your bias.
Exactly.
I understand your bias now. If your buddy Madoff counting cards during the celebration. And you got a lobster dinner. I mean, I would like the Giants too. Shit. Let's get some more of these comments. What's up, Fred? He said Darby played great second half. He didn't let the bad play affect the rest of the game. True that. Yeah, definitely, man. You get a chance. You can zoom in. We do post games. I'll let folks come in now with the Zoom. We'll see what we can do. Just hit me up and we'll figure something out. Mark Marr said all running backs played well. Yeah, Gibson and Barber. Both of them played tough, ran hard, didn't give the ball up, and got tough yards when needed. That's what I talked about over and over again. Let them get a chance to run the ball, give them a chance to show what they can do, and let the offensive line dominate the trenches. And we saw that happen today. Dallas defense played well up until a point, but once the running game got going, then our offense started controlling the tempo, the pace, and the line of scrimmage. You saw what happens. We've seen it happen to our defense for so many years. Now it's refreshing to see our offense do it to another team's defense. Gibson is physical running. Yep. Oh, Fred was saying Randy Moss. It was 1999 with the 3 touchdowns. Yeah, on 3 catches for 167 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys. Troy talked about it during the game, so he actually threw for 455 yards that game. In a loss because Randy Moss was just showing off, and I remember that game. Fred said,
I'm just so happy, man. Thanksgiving, so many people counted us out. I mean,
honestly, with all the stuff that's been going on over the years, with us constantly trying to rebuild, start over, and try to get that bad dysfunction taste out our mouth, it's always sputtered. And now the difference is you have a true football guy running the team and in charge of the organization. And despite what everybody thinks that Schneider's always behind everything and he's pulling the strings and coaches are scared of him, first of all, Von Rivera, ex-military, 85 Bears champion, head coach, been in the league for over, 30, 40 years. He's not going to bow down to any owner. He would have never came here in the first place if he felt that he wouldn't have control of the team. Second of all, there is no such thing as the Schneider curse or we're not going to win until he sells the team. He's not going to sell the team. He's blocking the sale to the minority owners right now because they're trying to sell. He's blocking that just because he wants to be a butthole. Because the minority order has been doing some other things behind his back that I spoke on previously, but I really can't speak on because I'm not trying to get sued. But it's just amazing that folks don't see what's in front of them. The team is progressing. They're getting better. It might not be at some of the unrealistic expectations of some fans, but we're seeing this progress in one season. It took us, 4 seasons of the J to see any type of progress in any phase of the game, and we're seeing it in the first season. That says a lot, but folks don't want to hear that because they so want to get caught up on the negative. Yes, the record sucks. The whole division sucks. I mean, what can you do?
It's a weird year. They can't expect perfection. I don't understand. Like, even if we had a coach who had been with the team for years and we had a system, it still could have gone to shit. Like, was dealt such a shitty hand with cancer, with COVID, with all of it. And the fact is, we're sitting here still at the top of the division, but people still want to talk shit on it. It's amazing. And it's not, like, even if we don't win the division this year, it's not a failed year because I've seen cultural changes that we've needed for 4 or 5 years that we talked about the entirety of this show. Every year we're talking about how the culture sucks. They're playing like foosball and just not taking shit seriously. And now you can sense that they're taking it seriously. I feel like they have a unified message, and they're starting to build that sort of sense of team and camaraderie and that respect. And we've always talked about how we need an identity. And I think we're starting to form that, right? It takes time, though. Identities don't just appear overnight.
Yeah, you have a coach that actually knows what he's doing and that they actually respect and doesn't take no crap. He's going, if it's not his way, you're gone. If you're not going to do things the way he wants you to, he's not going to have you around. So, and they understand that. So they're buying in. We talked about it over and over again with the cap situation. They didn't win until they bought into what the coach was selling. And once they bought in, it was all the ultimate success, Stanley Cup champion. Unfortunately, they didn't re-sign the coach, which was like a Washington football team move after he won the Super Bowl. But neither here nor there. We still remember.
I'm hoping Lavi will be great for us, and I think that there's a big opportunity over the next season. But I think what Fred had said, the time of possession was definitely a big thing today. I think early on in the game, we were dominating the time of possession and we were wearing them down. And so on the scoreboard, the game was still close, but I kind of felt like, oh man, if we keep on wearing them down, in the second half we could blow this open. And that's exactly what happened. And so I think time of possession early in the game is crucial because we want our defense, off the field. We want, them to be feeling the pressure. And I think that it was really, I think that first half time of possession really led to second half success.
Oh, definitely. You can see, like I said, with the injury factor, they had that 11-play drive that got the first touchdown, wore them out, and then some of the play calls on their side was putting their defense in the battle. Like I said, it was like we were watching Jay Gruden coach again. And Dujane texted me, is that Jason Garrett in a fat man suit? Because some of the play calls are some dumb stuff that he used to call. And I was like, I don't know what McCarthy doing. I think he over there playing Madden over there and thinking that 4th and 10 play was.
He's overthinking way too much. He spent way more time talking to referees than actually figuring out how to win the game, in my opinion. But one play I want to talk about on offense real quick. I was shocked by that running play. I'm shocked that it's not a false start, but it's a trick play where it looks like the quarterback hasn't hiked it yet, and he hands it off under the leg of the running back who goes the other way. And by the time the other team realized it was hiked, the running back was beyond the line of scrimmage. Have you ever seen anything like that, Carol?
That's the old Fumble-Rooski play, man. It's called the Fumble-Rooski. It actually worked.
It looked different this time. The way that they did it. It tricked my eyes so bad.
It's legal. But they did it differently. But yeah, that player actually scored, before in a trick play situation. But that's what Scott Turner, like I talked about in the pregame, when you're coaching with a lead as opposed to coaching and trying to come back, it's a whole different ball game. When you're trying to come back, there isn't really any strategy you can employ because you're trying to catch up. When you're ahead, you can set your plays up. You can set things up for those plays to happen. That Logan Thomas play, that was set up by them doing the pitch to Gibson on the outside. They switched it up, put Logan Thomas in the backfield, and the Wildcat ex-quarterback swinging to him. Defense looked like, hold up, why the tight end got the ball? Oh, by the time they had that split second to think, man open down the field. And that's the difference in play calling. That's when football isn't just about people lining up on the field and being physical. It's a thought process behind it. You have to have a strategy. You have to make adjustments. You have to have a game plan and know your opponent. And then once you know your opponent, can start using their weaknesses against them and then taking their strengths away from them, you get a 41-16 victory.
I hope we see that play again with the tight end, or some sort of plays off of that, because I think that could be wildly successful, right? Because the tight end over to the edge, outside the pocket, he's got a cannon for an arm. I mean, that's not an easy pass, and he dropped that in there. And I got to give McLaurin a lot of credit because, one thing that people don't realize is different quarterbacks throw the ball very differently, right? With touch and zip and, different styles, different timing. For him to just drop it in there like he was a quarterback that had been throwing to Terry McLaurin all day is a lot harder than I think people realize. And, I think if they have that kind of chemistry, they should use that, something like that more often. I'm not saying like a ton of times in a game, but I hope that's not the last time we see that play.
No, we're definitely going to see that over. I think that's one of the reasons why they went after Logan Thomas, because he was actually the first free agent acquisition the team made. And I guess with him being an ex-quarterback and knowing they were going to, try to draft Antonio Gibson to add to what they were trying to do, they're going to have that wrinkle, in their offense. And if it works, they're not going to go away from. Like I said, this is what fans don't understand. They were indoctrinated into the Jay Gruden era under those 6 years, and they think when they see a coach find something that works, the next week they're going to go away from it just because of his ego.
I know. I have that fear.
You just saw it from Sunday to Thursday. Balance, running the ball. Gibson got the ball 18 times on Sunday. He got the ball 20 times a day. He ran for 94 yards and a touchdown on Sunday. He ran for $115 and 3 touchdowns a day. So he's learning. As they said, Scott Turner, this is his first full-time offensive coordinator position. He filled in last year in Carolina, took over the play calling duties, but he was majority the quarterbacks coach down there all season. So he didn't know about game planning and all the meetings and all the stuff you got to go through. And now he's finally understanding, and I think that he's learning. That's why my fear early in the season that he was a Jay Gruden Jr. and was just, trying to do anything. But he was trying to find what works for the team, find their identity. And
he's had 3 different quarterbacks over the course of the season. So, for me, he's just learning what Alex Smith can do and what he can't do, right? On the fly, through these games. And, they haven't had a lot of first-team offense with them in a couple of weeks now. And he can now, when they start to gel as an offensive coordinator and a quarterback that, as we're saying, he's not, the best quarterback to ever play the game, but he's a game manager. So I think the game manager with this system could actually work pretty well, especially if the defense can be the cornerstone of this team. And once again, Trustway was an MVP. I mean, I can't say this enough about that guy. He makes some incredible punts. I know people think I'm crazy for loving on this guy so much.
That's why I had to shout him out last week, man. He had a 60. He only punted twice. So that's another good sign, because we've seen games that he's punted 7-8 times. And he's the MVP for this team, man. His ball placement when he kicks it, where he pins the team back, and just the
right on the 10-yard line so that it wouldn't spin into the – I mean, that's hard to do. And then the other kick was like 60, 70 yards, that really in a time where they had made a big stand, we got 10 yards back, and that was incredible. Fred's also saying that with Gibson and Barber getting success that they did, it allowed the playbook to open up because the defense had to worry about them. And that's 100% true. I love what our running backs are able to do, especially – catching out of the backfield. I think that could be a really big thing for us. We saw a lot of success on some key plays, with passing to our running backs, with the direction going one way and then cutting across it. With a great passing play for a first down and a couple other good ones to running backs as well. So I totally agree with what Fred's saying there. I think the running backs can both catch and run well, it'll open up a lot of opportunities.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why they got him. McClissick, he's a great running back catching out of the backfield. Gibson being an XY receiver, he already has above average hands. And then as a running back, that makes him even better. You saw the play he made when it was early in the game. I think it was the second quarter when he's come out the backfield in the flat. Alex threw it kind of behind him. He had to reach out to extend and catch it, and he caught it. It was a good 4 or 5 yard gain that would have probably been an incompletion to any other running back. And you just see it in Peyton Barber. He's like the battering ram on a short down. He goes in there and gets them tough yards. So they have a good mix. They have a good understanding of the talent they have in the backfield, which was the major concern, especially when they cut AP. That's what mostly folks was concerned. Oh, we have so much inexperience in the backfield. Who's going to lead the way and how are they going to run the ball? And he's a Hall of Famer. Why would you cut him? That just shows a dysfunction with the team. They suck. Look at AP numbers for the season and look at Gibson numbers for the summer.
Right, and they're all specialists. Each one of them, as you were just describing, do different things. So it's not like they're like a copycat or whatever. And it's great because they each can be chameleons. They can each do 1 or 2 or 3 different things. So it's not like you're saying this guy's in, they're going to run straight down. This guy's in, it's going to be a cross. It's not obvious, right? What's going to happen. And I think that mixing up by the play calling and by the running backs and them all being fresh and that they could really hit the ground running, so to speak, becomes really key. Fred points out that Tressway is a great punter and he's pinned the teams back and he loves the backspin on the ball. And I agree. I think he's great at just getting it to just die right there.
That's because he's left-footed.
He's left-footed, and he was rugby, right? So it's a rugby-style kick.
So that's what he uses that to advantage because when everyone is used to right-footed kickers and the ball spinning a certain way, now you have a kicker that kicks it over his left, the spin is going to be different, and folks aren't used to it, even though he's been in the league 7 years. It still comes off his foot different, but he's still booming it. I mean, he has like a 5.5 hang time average. That's ridiculous. You hope for a punter to have a 5 second, punt time, hang time once in a while in the game. But to average that, I mean, like I say, folks don't understand some of the intricacies and small things that lead to victories. And even though he only punted twice, which was a good sign for the offense because they were moving the ball and getting points, is that you have a special teams that's playing well, playing effective, and not making mistakes.
Yeah, they don't have to win the game for you, but they can surely lose the game. With fumbles, we saw a couple of games early on in the season where we got fumbles on returns, and that really screwed us up. And so as long as your punt returns aren't fumbling the ball and, you're able to pin them back and you're able to make field goals. The field goals weren't crazy today, but they kind of put themselves in a position that then Dallas had to make some big-time plays later on, and they were able to get some interceptions and – so those little plays and getting those points early on put Dallas in a situation where they had to be passing and they couldn't rely on their running game as much.
Yeah, but also if you notice, ever since there was rumors about it bringing in kickers, Dustin Hopkins, and he done straightened up pretty well because he ain't trying to lose his job. Even though he's been a good kicker, fans call him for his head for the longest time, but he's a pretty accurate kicker. He misses some that he should make. He hit a 50-yarder last week. So, I mean, we've seen, as you talked about, we've seen this team cut kickers and they come back and kick us in the butt with another team for being there for 10, 15 years and winning field goals against us in division games and all types of stuff. So, I'm like, ride it out, man. He's better than most. He kicks the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs. That's the number one thing for me. As long as you ain't giving up these little short kicks and giving the other team a chance to break return for a touchdown or get better field position, that's a no-go. We had that with Kai Forbath. He was an accurate kicker, but his little leg couldn't get it all the way to the end zone on a consistent basis. Other teams are getting, good field position before they instituted the, 25 on touchdown.
I'd rather still take it at the 25. I think, even, kick it through the end zone, start at the 25 and, and play it from there. I mean, yes, it's 5 more yards, but it's not worth the chance of a big-time run back. Kick it to the 10, maybe they get to 30, 40, maybe break one. So I'm with you on that. I think that is good. Fred's also saying, I like how Ron stuck with his guys for the most part. Hopkins missed a few kicks, but Rivera kept his faith in him. I think that's key. I think you got to kind of keep your faith with the kicker. I think too easily people could be just drop the kicker, let's move on. It's not like there's a huge – we talked about this on Monday. There's not like a stockpile of kickers out there that are just, amazing, waiting to be picked up by teams. Like,
Yeah, it's just you got to go with the good and the bad. You can't always just be ready to have a knee-jerk reaction when they make a mistake. Nobody's perfect. Like I tell y'all all the time, when they didn't fire y'all the first time you burnt the fries. They didn't fire you the first time you forgot to flip the burgers over. So why are they going to fire him for a mistake that he made in the game when he's been doing pretty much everything else at a high level? So I'm just saying, approach it like you approach your life. Would you want them firing you because you didn't change the mop water bucket when you were supposed to? You didn't put enough Clorox in the bucket. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, man, you got to have some patience. Nobody's perfect. But let me get into the final stats. I gave up the halftime stats. The team ended up with 22 first downs, went 7 for 13 on third down conversion, 50%, which is great for this team. Went 1 for 1 on fourth down, had 182 yards rushing. Note they only averaged 99, so they doubled their output today by sticking with the run. Only passed for 156 yards. As I mentioned, Alex only threw the ball 26 times for a total of 338 yards total as a team. They had 4 sacks as a team, had 1 interception turnover. They had 5 penalties for 53 yards and a time of possession of 35 minutes and 25 seconds. So this was basically a mirror image of the first half because it was basically everything was split in half from what they did at halftime, except for the score because they put up another 27 points. No, 41, 24 points. Gotta get my math together. I've been drinking. I gotta put my fingers and toes real quick, but I ain't even gonna go there. Alex Smith, as I mentioned, he went 19 for 26. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 83.7 quarterback rating. Andy Dalton, 25 for 35, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 84.8 quarterback rating. Antonio Gibson mentioned it, 20 carries, 115 yards, 5.8 yard carry per average, 3 touchdowns. Peyton Barber had 11 carries, 57 yards. Ezekiel Elliott had 10 carries for 32 yards, no touchdowns, 3.2 yard average. Logan Thomas finished the game with 4 catches, 20 yards, 1 touchdown. He didn't get any more catches in the second half. Terry McLaurin ended up with 7 catches, 92 yards. Mari Cooper ended up with 6 catches, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Defensively, Cole Holcomb led the team in tackles with 6, had 4 assists and a half a sack. Chase Young had 2 tackles. 1 of those was a sack. I mentioned Jeremy Reeves, even though his stat line was only 1 tackle and 1 sack, made 2 huge plays in the third quarter and 1 in the fourth quarter. Tim Settle Jr., who's been on the squad for about, I think, 4 years, and before they drafted before we got the 4 first rounders on the line, he was one of the highly touted defensive tackles that we had in our 3-4. And I believe that he had a sack today that made number 6 for him on the season. So the depth on this defensive line and the performing, moving pieces are doing their jobs. I believe they're now 4th or 3rd in sacks in the league. In the running game, they played better run defense today. They only gave up, I didn't write it down. Thought I wrote it down, but apparently I didn't. I think they only gave up like 70 yards rushing. That's 2 weeks in a row. So they're definitely improving on the stopping the run, passing. They're number 1 in the league. Barely giving up 200 yards a game, like a 195. So the defense, to me, played well. Got pressure. What was that? 5 sacks. We were 4 or 5 sacks. And defense played well. The secondary played well. They gave up the 1 big play to Cooper. But for the most part, they definitely tackle well. And just seeing some of these young guys and some of these rookie Cameron Curl playing strong safety once Landon Collins went down. Cole Holcomb, his second year in the league, he's playing stellar. You got Allen, you got Payne, you got Sweat. All of these guys are in their 2nd, 3rd, 4th year. and they're starting to find their stride at the right time with the right coach, and this team is building something. So, like I said in the pregame, hopefully in 2021 we can get back to some type of normal off season for these guys, so they can get a real indoctrination under Ron Rivera and his training camp and a full training camp. And then just imagine the growth you'll see from this team if they can actually do the real NFL preseason, OTAs, training camp, all of that stuff. Imagine how sooner we could have seen games like this from this team this season instead of some of the stinkers we saw earlier.
Yeah, so a couple of things you mentioned. The rushing yards, we held Dallas to only 60 rushing yards the whole game. Amazing. The other thing, I thought Chase Young, we talked about this a little bit on Monday. He's commanding double teams, and they're having to do some crazy defensive stunt move, or offensive line stunt moves to try to stop him. I mean, he is taking one or two people every time. And, yeah, the sack numbers aren't crazy today, but I felt he had a tremendous impact on this game. I think the numbers don't necessarily do him justice. I felt like if you just watch how he played, I mean, he was fired up. He's exactly what you want from the best defensive player in that draft, and I'm super happy we took him at number 2 last year. I know that people have been saying, oh, he's not that amazing, blah, blah, blah. This is just his first season. I mean, the sky's the limit with this kid. I mean, he is an incredible, incredible talent. And I think as, you know, right now he's getting double teamed, so you don't see it, but he's opening up a lot of opportunities for a lot of other players. And that's what you need, especially when you don't have a nose tackle. We talked about that on Monday. With the way that this system works, you need one of these guys to be drawing these double teams. And you see Montez Sweat and a bunch of these other players be able to step up and really sort of feast because of the sort of protection that they have to do. I also like that Fred mentioned they like to focus on the 10 yards to get the fresh downs. It's a huge thing in this game. I think too many games early on when we were losing, we were not converting on third down. I think that they made a big part of that about converting and getting themselves into manageable situations on third down. We weren't in a lot of 3rd and 15, a lot of 3rd and 20 or some crazy numbers, but you know it's going to pass. There was a lot of 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1. Short yardage that they were able to pick up. He also said that he liked the success with the rotation of the defensive line. He got fresh legs in the game, and I agree. I think that the team played well throughout. I thought it was funny early on in the game. They were trying a couple of our defensive players. Some of them got burned early by some long passes. But a lot of these DBs and safeties came up big in the second half, and they really took it upon themselves man to man and said, you know what, I'm not going to get beat anymore. They're going to keep on coming after me because they think I'm the weakest link. And Darby stepped up in the second half. I think he played very well. So what are some of your thoughts on the adjustments that we saw?
I mean, we've been seeing adjustments all season from the coaching staff, especially like we've seen when they were down in week 1 to Philadelphia, 20-0 or 17-3 or something like that going into the second half. So that's the one good thing about this staff, that they do make adjustments. But Darby has been one of the top rated cornerbacks in the league this season, according to PFF, just not by me, which is Pro Football Focus for y'all that don't know. Excuse me. I've been drinking, boy. Them drinks.
I know, these truly making me. Yeah. Whatever. It's so, good. We have to celebrate, right?
We celebrating, baby. It's a celebration.
Right.
He's had I think 200 and something snaps and only gave up 30 receptions or 40 receptions. So he's one of the higher rated cornerbacks when folks go at him or whatever. So, I mean, nobody's perfect. I said that, but the adjustments are going to be made because it's a chess game. We saw in that, the fourth quarter when Dalton and John Bostic were audibling back and forth trying to figure out, what the other team was going to do. And it was like a 3rd and 7. And then Dalton, he audible. Then Bostic, he audible. Then Dalton audible to empty the backfield. Then Dalton audible and did a fake like he was coming for the blitz. And then that made Dalton bail out of the play. And then it ended up being a sack anyway. So stuff like that I love because that's the strategy. That's the chess match. That's the battle of wills and the battle of minds out there. See, a lot of folks don't understand what goes in, especially being a linebacker. You're like the quarterback of the defense. So going up against Andy Dalton, I'm not going to say is one of the best quarterbacks. So I'm not going to say that, this was a great battle of wits or whatever. But just the fact that you saw in that instance, going back to Peyton Manning, with the Omaha call and all of that stuff, just seeing him trying to break down the defensive, quarterback, so to speak, with different thought processes of what he might do or what he could do. It's just, to me, it was a beautiful thing to watch, man. I was sitting there and just loving it. Then if you still tuning in, they're actually replaying the game on NFL Network. I got it on right now. While I'm doing
Nice.
the show, so I'm watching it again, even
So
though I recorded it.
Real quickly, Martin Moore says, I hope that we don't get stale with the long layoff that we're going to have going into Pittsburgh. First of all, I didn't think we were ever going to beat Pittsburgh. So we'll start there. But, now Pittsburgh's got less games. They'll only have a week. I think that they'll probably beat, Baltimore with this, the fact that they don't have a quarterback and all that sort of situation. But, I'd actually think that it's not like it's another bye week. It's just a couple extra days. And I think they'll need a couple extra days to get over the fact that they just got 2 wins and a lot of adrenaline and sort of settle themselves down. Do you think it's too much of a layoff? I mean, first of all, neither of us really had us beating Pittsburgh in the first place. But what are your thoughts going into that Pittsburgh game?
I mean, any given Sunday, because I have Ben Roethlisberger and Smith-Schuster on my fantasy football team, so some weeks their offense isn't clicking like it normally used to, and if you can get a lead on them and make them a one-dimensional team, any team can get beat. Can you do it and execute is the question. And if this team can play like they played against Dallas both times this season, the way like that against Pittsburgh, then I give them a 50-50 shot at possibly take. That would be the perfect 2020 thing. That the Steelers will be undefeated and the Washington football team makes them to give them their first loss of the season. And that would be so 2020. I couldn't even be mad if that happened. Matter of fact, the way things are falling out, I might put a bet on that. I think that's really going to happen, Robbie.
I'll still hopefully get with Hurt. We'll both bet against us again. That's worked the last 2 weeks. But Fred noticed that the players on the sideline are holding each other accountable and getting each other fired up. It's different than past seasons. I see that too, and I think Chase Young is a big part of that. I see him getting in people's face and getting excited and bringing that young energy to it.
Now they care. They had a coach that didn't know what the hell he was doing, and with them, we never really spoke about some of the stuff in that article that came out, but when you have some things and some, alleged things that went down, like there was allegedly went down, you're not going to have respect for that coach. So you're going to take, when you already look at his track record, you ain't won anything. This is your first head coaching job in the NFL that you didn't really deserve. And you're doing the same dumb stuff every week. So I think most of the players lost respect for him and didn't respect him. And that's why, it was what it was. But they have respect for Rivera because he's a stand-up dude. He holds them accountable, so now they're holding themselves accountable. It comes from the top. If they don't see you holding, your coaches and yourself accountable for mistakes in the game or mistakes in practice or whatever, they're not going, not saying they're not going to do their job, but it's a whole different mindset when you, fully buy in and believe that the coach has your best effort, your best, what's that phrase? I'm drawing a blank. I can't even remember. But he has your development and your best interest at heart. That's what the phrase I was looking for. Boy, 1738 starting to get to me. It's
interesting for sure. I decided to pick up. Oh wait, no, it's the wrong week. Somebody's asking. Mark's asking, what do we think the spread's going to be in that game? So I was going to pull that up.
It's probably going to be about.
I had 8.5 is what I thought in my head, but I have not. I'm looking it up right now.
It depends on how they play against the Ravens. If they beat the Ravens convincingly, it's probably going to be like a 10-point line at least. But especially if they're still undefeated.
I think 8 to 10 is my guess as well. I can't pull it up because they haven't had their game this week, so they don't always And then Mark says that we're tackling much better. We're not giving them the yak, and we're getting the yak ourselves. I like our yards after the catch. I think that's true.
That's the benefit of Alex Smith. He's throwing these guys open. I mean, you see, with McClissick, with McLaurin, he's leading them with the ball. We spoke about it several times about Haskins and him not having the confidence in himself or in the wide receivers or knowing the playbook and leading these receivers and throwing the ball out in front of him or throwing the ball to a spot instead of throwing it to them. But Alex Smith has been around for a while. He's been in his offense and he knows the offense. So he's not afraid to throw it to a spot where he knows the receiver's supposed to be at, because as long as they do their job, it's going to be a completion. So you definitely see the development and maturation of some of these wide receivers. It's just, you want to see it on a more consistent basis, but that's the drawback of having a game manager, that he's going to go through his checkdowns very quickly, and he's not going to try to do anything to force it. He's going to go to the man that's open. If somebody's going to be open on the play, and you just have to find the right matchup and find the right person that's open or that has the advantage against that matchup. And you see the difference between him running the offense and between Kyle Allen and Dwayne Haskins. Haskins was still learning, so his progressions was taking longer. Allen knew the playbook, but he still didn't recognize the defenses and recognize, certain situations. So sometimes you'll see him get the ball out quick, but then sometimes you'll see him hesitate because he wasn't sure. Now you're seeing a quarterback that knows the offense, that knows where people are supposed to be, and isn't afraid to throw that ball in front of the receiver or in the tight window because he's having trust and confidence that they're going to make the play.
Well, the big thing is he's been there before. So many times he's been in those situations. So even if the playbook isn't exactly the same, he knows the scenarios and he knows what sort of things he's looking for in the defense and what he's trying to read to see, hey. And so he's also willing to trust in himself that he's made that throw before. And I'm so happy that his mechanics have come back, that he can make most of the same plays that he did before. That was something we didn't know with having an injury like that. Would he, second guess himself? Would he, be worried when people are around his legs? Would he make mistakes? And you saw a little bit of that early on, but overall, I mean, he's been really great. Fred was mentioning that on defense, they're wrapping the defender up a lot more in the past, and I agree. And then he also said that, not to take anything away from the Steelers, but they haven't had a super tough schedule. And I agree with that, but the Steelers have beaten every team that's in front of them. And that's all that it really takes. I think the Steelers are a very dangerous team. But I do think that we have an opportunity, and in those games where we just managed the game well, and we didn't have him go for over 300 yards, we've won with Alex Smith. And I think that's key. It's not going to have those gaudy numbers. It won't be good for those fantasy numbers, per se, but we might get a win. I think, that could be a recipe for success. For maybe we only throw for 200 yards and we have another big running game, and maybe we could beat the Steelers that way. I don't see us getting in a shooting match and outscoring them, per se, like we did today, mostly because I think Pittsburgh's defense is much better than Dallas. But, I think that there's an opportunity there if he manages the game wisely and we don't give him the ball.
I mean, they definitely have a shot. They have the top-ranked pass defense for a reason. Pittsburgh has a above-average passing game. Like I said, Smith-Schuster has really been taken out of the picture, but they have Claypool and they have James Washington, who they've are their deep threats and who they get the ball in space and crossing routes and let them, do what they do. James Conner, he's been having a decent season, so as long as they continue to play solid pass defense and stop the run and make teams one-dimensional and get a lead, they can play tough with any team, because there is no fight, there is no lack of fight in this team. We've seen that over the season, that they, no matter how many points they get down, no matter what happens, they're going to continue fighting, and that's their coach rubbing off on them. But I'm honestly going to go for Washington against Pittsburgh and shock the world.
Well, you always go for them, and I always go against them, so we can be consistent. So, you can run away with this fantasy if somehow the Washington football team can win the division. I'll be okay with that.
I'm going to run with it, man. And then
I got
a lot of Pittsburgh. I got a lot of friends that are Pittsburgh fans, so I know this is going to they're gonna be sending a lot of posts talking about I might need to check myself into the sanitarium or something. But
I mean,
I'm
it's a
going to
tough
ride
sell.
with
I mean,
this.
they're undefeated.
I
So
know it's
I
going to be.
understand.
I know it is, and that's what's going to make it even sweeter.
We're
When
gonna
it
beat them by 1
happens.
point, right? Like it's gonna be
I
very
don't
close. Like,
care. They can beat it by
we're
half
gonna
a
go for
point.
2, and it's gonna work this time, right?
Yeah,
You know,
they
and
can
at the
beat it
end of
by
the,
half a point. I don't care. As long as they win. I got a feeling this team is going to shock the world and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
right. I
I'm
hope
going to
that
ride with that.
I hope that Baltimore punishes them a little bit in that sort of divisional rivalry, gets them nice and beaten up before we have to play them. That would be good. And if we get a little extra rest going into it, that could be good. Fred says the big thing is getting to Roethlisberger and getting him down because he's a tough quarterback. You can't just tap him. I agree. He's a little tough to bring down. And Mark says to keep the running the ball and keep it out of the big man's hands. So he
No doubt.
agrees. Um,
Yeah, the same strategy this game. They had the ball for 35 minutes this game.
yeah.
So if they continue, you've seen since Alex Smith has been in the game, we've seen 12, 13, 14 play drives that get 7 points, not field goals. So if we can continue to do that, that the defense continue to play well and get turnovers and get pressure, I mean, that's the recipe for victory. No matter who you playing against, undefeated, Super Bowl champ, whoever. If you play solid football in all three phases of the game, you give yourself a better chance to win. And we're seeing this team play better in all phases of the game, mentally and physically. We're not seeing any blown assignments, as you heard them talk about last year. You saw big plays left and right every week. Now you might see one or two.
Yeah, things that we could have tackled that would have been a 5-yard gain. We're going for 12, 15 last year, and they were killing us, you know. And then just keep the sticks behind you and just play the game and hope that they mess up on third down, and then you get the ball back. I mean, it's not like rocket science, but you know, it's how you can win a lot of football games, and it's interesting to watch and sort of the development of the team, and I'm excited. I definitely think we're making a lot of progress, and you know, it's gonna be fun to sit back on Sunday. I do have to mention, for the first time, and I don't know when, there's gonna be 3 1:00 games on Sunday, and none of them are the Washington football team. So we'll be able to check out a bunch of different games on all 3 major networks. So that'll be cool. And Carol, we've gone over an hour, which is one of the longest post games we've ever done. So I think we could probably wrap it up pretty soon, because we'll definitely break it down even further with, I'm sure, Dugenet and a bunch of other people on Monday. Got to save something for Monday. But it's been a great show, a great Thanksgiving. I'm happy I get to see you on Thanksgiving, if not even in person. But just an incredible victory.
Definitely was. We spoke about it on Monday. How would this team respond to the game they played against the Bengals on a short week against a division rival on national television? And that's been one of the issues with this team, even though it's not a prime time game, so to speak. They know it's nationally televised.
I mean, it kind of turned into the primetime game, right? There's no evening game. I feel like a lot of people probably tuned into this one.
Yeah,
so.
They definitely. That's why they're replaying it on NFL Network right now, because there's no other game. So, I mean, the fact that you saw this team play well on the national stage on a short week against a division rival in a big game to take the lead in a division, and they actually rise to the occasion. I mean, how can you be mad at that? But there's still some fans that are mad. So, I mean, you want to be miserable, that's fine. That's cool.
I'll celebrate today, even if you're not going to. So I'll take their champagne from them, and I'll have a glass and toast it. Thank you to Mark and to Fred. I love the comments. I love the vibe. Make sure you guys share the post with your friends and let them know what we're doing here. It's been a lot of fun talking to you guys. Mark says, thanks, guys. You're awesome. Keep up the great work. And Fred agreed, and I appreciate both of you for tuning in and everyone for tuning in throughout this evening, this live. This is one of my favorite post-game lives we've done. I'll definitely try to get it up on the website soon, and the pregame as well. And but yeah, Carol, let people know where they can find you. I assume that you'll be back on the grind tomorrow and Saturday as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt. You come on down to Waldorf Honda, 2450 Crane Highway, northbound side. I'll be down. I got a couple of appointments set up for tomorrow and got some things going on. We got the Happy Honda Holidays. We'll be slashing prices and making deals. If you're looking for a new ride before 2021 hit, come on down. We got the 2021s in. Them Honda Accords is nice. The new pilots, new Odysseys, them Odyssey minivans, bro. I never saw myself a minivan person, but hey, I ain't got no kids, but I caught one of them joints, man. They got rear TVs and heated seats and cooled seats and Wi-Fi built in, man. It's like a damn house, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs a condo when you got a minivan like that?
Hell
So,
yeah, that joint nice. So yeah, come check me out. We got new, used, pre-owned, certified, not just Hondas. I can get, anything you're looking for. Hit me up, inbox me on Facebook, hit me in the email, Carol_Porter@yahoo.com. Or just come on down to the dealership and ask for Carol, man. I'll take care of you. Look good in your new vehicle when you're driving off the lot with some great customer service and some great rates. So make sure you check us out. Come holler at me down there. Make sure you check us out Monday night, Sports in the Hill podcast, True Radio Network.
We'll be celebrating then too, and then I like Mark Moore's comment: "Celebrate good times. Come on, it's true. It's a celebration." So we got to take the wins where we can get them, right? Especially in this season, especially in 2020. And I appreciate all of our fans and all the people that have been supporting us. SportsOTHP.com. You can see it right there. Yes, I think. Yeah. We've got last week's podcast up there. It was a good one. We went on for a while. Lots of good basketball talk as well. I'm planning on clipping that basketball one and probably releasing that tomorrow maybe as well, or maybe Saturday for people to check out. Lots of trades and lots of great movement. And we'll continue to talk football on Monday. I don't know if we have any other sports we'll be talking about, but if any breaking news in any of the DC sports happens, you know where you can find it. DC Sports Without the Politics. And I'll let Carol do his final sign-off.
All right, no doubt. Y'all be safe, be blessed. Appreciate all the love, appreciate all the support, all the folks tuning in on Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. I'm getting interactions from all platforms now, so I appreciate it as always. Just let folks know, man. Share it, man. Reach out to 980 and 106 and 7. They owned by the same. But let them know we need to be on the air, man. We need to put the real sports media back on the radio. So reach out to them folks. They got me blocked, so I can't contact them. But
they're scared.
Yeah, they scared. They don't want this work.
They don't want this work.
They don't want this work, Robbie. They don't want this work. But we about to get out of here. Appreciate y'all tuning in. It's been longer than usual, but hey, it's Victory Friday.
Victory, yeah.
Hey, we having a party, and it's Thanksgiving, so
exactly. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Happy Black Friday to everybody tomorrow. I know some Christmas shopping gonna be going on. Hope it's some car buying, because I'll be at work tomorrow trying to sell some cars. But as always, y'all be safe, be blessed. DC Sports Without the Politics is not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. Tonight I'm going to end the post game with 2 Renegade videos. Money Convo first, and then I can't remember the second one, but it's going to play after the Money Convo. So y'all be safe, be blessed, and we catch you on Monday. Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Right button.
Never ever talk about it if you never had the clout. money, make them shut them off. Keep playing with these goonies, boy, I'm gonna have to make the call. Stay in bounds on your pivot, boy, if you gon' ball. Cause a lot of niggas be fake, and you really can't play. Cause we done got it out the mud, nigga, what you talking about? Screaming, oh my God, money got me pride. They living a lie, look into my eyes, they might seem surprised, this is homicide. We just multiply, we been on the rise. If we got some wings, fuck it, we gon' have to fly. Money, what you talking about? Day in my life, take me a different route. Use all my case, niggas on my face. You can get it erased, what you talking about? Money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really wanna play, you don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play, you don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. You never crossing these borders. I'm whipping it up, Gordon Ramsay. I swear that I'm cooking these orders. You talk about me, you better just hope that you can just really afford it. I'm ballin', I'm winning, I'm feeling like Robert Horry. Nigga, I'm scoring, I count in the morning. They talk about me, then I gotta ignore it. My bitches be foreign, so independent, my money be corporate. These raps is boring. You hate me and I'm always gonna adore it. I'm smoking that Soarin'. She always go ahead and let me explore it. I call her my Dora. You can go and talk about me, I ain't flawless. I go put my all in. If a nigga talk about me, then I'm gone in. You know that I'm gone in. Jump in, take trips, Pompeii. All day, always keep 3 stacks like Andre. I get it, man. And you can never, ever get rid of that. So watch what you say, and watch how you do. If you play the game, then you play by the rules. Money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really wanna play, you don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play, you don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about.
Don't get this motherfucker right. Right.
If you ain't a boss, switch your position. They hating me on the low. I cannot listen. I pack your bag if you trippin'. I got me your superstition that you been looking for ways. Get me up off this mission. My grandma told me, boy, watch what you pitching. You stay safe at the base and not what you whipping. They just all in my business. Scotty knows just what a pippin'. Flow like I be rapping, tiptoeing J's when I'm riffing. They say I be hot, but I think I'm sizzling. Surgically put on the clinic, spit it out just to a dentist. Try to do me some good, but they say I'm a menace. We back and forth like it's tennis, and I can't mold out my image. But we can't really change what you already felt, and nobody can say we never did help, never did it to mention. So let's calm all the tension. Let's just show you what's real and just get know. I be deaf cause they so-so, WWE. I got the game in a chokehold, stamp it just like a logo. Just keep it on the low-low, they like I'm back on my mojo. Man, I still be great, either riding or solo. Used to bag up them Cincos, just to make back that Ocho. Going into OT, when I was loving that Coco. Spit it all on some promo, I'm talking tables and photos. Dying for what I love, I forgot about the Toto. Don't become a D-Rust, that mean you breaking a bro code. Man, all of these threats, I might just buy me a fofo. Try and get all of these checks, so I don't see you just no more. Man, you rapping ass niggas, I see you done change. Even when I touch my first million, I stay the same. You can't deliver the Jono. Fuck this game like a pono. They hearing this like, oh no, ain't from DC, but he go. Tryna make a flip up off a quarter piece.